Law of gearing. We are trying to understand what is the meaning of law of gearing. Now here we are drawn two discs. They are not gears. At the moment they are not gears, they are discs. Suppose it is a plain disc, one more disc is there, and we are using this disc for transmitting power from one place to another. So now here what happens? This disc rotates like this. Because of that the other disc rotates. And how the rotation takes place, how the power gets transmitted, at this point, which is a common point, at this point, this gear is pushing the other gear at this point. So if you call this point say as P, then at point P, this is a force which is exerted by one gear on the other gear, and as a result, this force causes the rotation of the other gear. This is what happens in the case of a disc. Now we want something similar to happen in the case of a gear also. So if you see the diagram of a gear, then what happens is, once the gear rotates, the force which is applied by one gear on the other gear, like here, this is a force applied by one disc on another disc. So similarly, one gear is going to push the other gear in a particular direction. So the force is going to act in a particular direction. Now what is the direction in which the force is acting? The direction in which the force is acting is going to be along the normal to the surface. So if these are the two surfaces in contact, like what is drawn earlier, then at the point of contact, if you draw a normal to the profile, that means this becomes a normal to the profile. Profile means the curvature of the tooth. So to this curvature of the tooth, this becomes a normal line. Okay, what is normal and what is tangent? Suppose I draw any curve. Suppose I draw this tooth again. This I have drawn a tooth. Now at this point, this becomes a tangent. What is a tangent line? Tangent line is something which is touching to the curve only at one point. It is not intersecting the curve, it is just touching at one point. So this is tangent. And what you draw perpendicular to the tangent, that is a normal. So if I draw a line like this, then this is a normal. So this is normal and this is tangent. At this point we are drawn. So like that you can draw tangent at any point. But we have to draw tangent at a particular point where the teeth are in contact. So here the teeth are in contact at this point. So at this point there is a tangent which we have not drawn, and then perpendicular to that there is a normal, and normal is the one along which the force is transmitted from one tooth to another tooth. Now once you know the direction of transmission of the force, what we want to happen is, this direction of force must pass from a specific point, which is in this case which is here. Now this point in the case of a gear, which is called a pitch point, is same as the point P in the case of a disc. Remember, this is a disc, these two are discs and these two are gears. So what has happened in the disc, the force from one gear to another was transmitted at this point P. Same thing we want to happen, force from one gear to other gear is going to be transmitted, but not like this, along the normal, and this normal also should pass from similar point P. If that happens, then what is going to happen is, then this ratio, the rotation is going to be having some regular relation. That means when what has happened, I am just comparing these two cases. In this case, because it is happening like this, suppose I will just write here omega 1 and omega 2. These are the speeds. So we can say that omega 1 upon omega 2 is equal to, suppose this is d1 and this d2, that means diameters. Then this becomes d2 upon d1. That means the ratio of speeds is inversely proportional to the diameter. This we already know. Now this is applicable here because the force is acting like this at this point P. Now same thing should happen here, for which the force also should pass from the same point P. Now this will happen if the law of gearing is followed by this profile. So what is law of gearing now? Law of gearing is, now you can now write down what is the law of gearing. Law of gearing states that a normal drawn at point of contact, of two mating gears, for two mating gears always passes from a fixed point called as pitch point. always passes from a fixed point called as pitch point. That means the definition is over. What this means is, if the normal is passing from the pitch point, then the ratio is going to be properly maintained. That means if you take the next position, the point of contact will be something else. But even in that position, now suppose this gear tooth comes closer. So some changes take place and the point of contact shifts to some other place. So in that new position also, if you draw similar thing, that means again you draw normal, then again the normal will pass from the same point. So if you draw normal anytime, once the contact point starts, see these two teeth, they are coming in contact with each other at a particular point, and by the time they leave, they will have different point which is in contact, and those points will keep on changing along the surface. But even if the points keep on changing, the contact points keep on changing, still if you keep on drawing the normals in each position, then you will find that the normals always will pass from point P, and that is what is called the law of gearing. And when law of gearing is applicable, when this law of gearing is holding good for the geometry of the gears, then this ratio becomes a valid ratio. That means the two gears, they will be rotating such that their speed ratio is inversely proportional to the diameter, and then this becomes a useful gear pair. So that happens when the law of gearing is observed by the two gears. And law of gearing is, I am again repeating, the normal drawn at point of contact any time must always pass from the pitch point. Now to understand this, I will be sending one more link, a video link, a small video clip link, which will show you animation of the two gears in rotation and how the contact point keeps changing and how the normal still all the time passes from point P. That idea you will get once you have a look at that particular video which I will be sending to you. So having understood this part, law of gearing, before that we have seen pressure angle. Now let's go to the next, that is the types of gear teeth. Now the teeth of the gear, they are of basically two types. One is involute teeth and the other is cycloidal teeth. These are the two types of teeth. The profile of the tooth, the surface of the tooth has got two different shapes. Suppose I draw a tooth, then this particular curvature which is there, this curvature will be of these two types, involute type or the cycloidal type, and they have got their its own, these teeth have got some plus points and minus points. So let us see what are these two types of teeth and how they are used. So you can write down we will be studying these two teeth in the form of comparison. So what we do is you can make two parts like a table, involute teeth and cycloidal teeth, and then we write different points. So first is involute teeth. On the involute side you write down, I'll just dictate. It provides a necessary condition, involute teeth. It provides a necessary condition that normal to the curve passes from a fixed point all the time. It provides a condition that normal to the curve always passes from a fixed point, like a law of gearing. On the cycloid side write down, the other side you write down. Cycloid is a curve traced by a circle, a point on a circle. Cycloid is a curve traced by a point on a circle when it rolls on when it rolls on another circle. When it rolls on another circle. So what is a cycloid basically? I'll just show you here. Suppose there is a circle here, and on this circle, suppose you draw one small circle, this is a point of contact. And now if I roll this circle, that means this circle goes on rolling forward. Then what happens to the point? What path this circle, this point P is taking? See, this point P is in contact here. While rolling, the circle will complete one rotation, and again this point P will touch to the bigger circle. And in doing so, it will follow certain path. So this path is called as cycloidal path. Now this path is on the upper side. If it is rolling, then it has got one different name. If it is rolling from the lower side, it has got different name. So suppose there is another circle here, and that is rolling inside like this. It goes on this side. Then again it will provide a curvature like this. So this curve and this curve, these two curves, both are cycloidal curves. These two curves, they are together forming the shape of the tooth. So the shape of the tooth is formed by partly by this circle, partly by this cycloid, and partly by this cycloid. So the shape of the tooth will look something like this, and from this point it is this. So I have drawn both these curves in part. So this becomes a profile of a cycloidal tooth. So if the tooth is cycloidal, its shape is like this. If the tooth is involute, its shape is like this. Last time we have drawn, during the machine drawing, we have drawn how to draw we have learned how to draw the involute tooth. So that profile is a profile of an involute tooth. Profile of a cycloidal tooth is drawn by this particular procedure. Okay. So that is the second, that is the first point we have written for comparison. Now the next point is like this. On the involute side, write down point number 2. Pressure angle is constant. Pressure angle is constant throughout the point of contact. Pressure angle is constant throughout the point of contact in case of involute profile tooth. In case of involute tooth, pressure angle is constant. On the cycloid side, now we have to write down pressure angle is maximum. Pressure angle is maximum at the start of contact. Pressure angle is maximum at the start of contact. It is 0 at pitch point. It is 0 at pitch point, and it is again maximum, and it is again maximum at the end of contact. It is again maximum at the end of contact. That means in the case of cycloidal profile, the pressure angle keeps on changing. It doesn't remain constant. Third point now you write down for involute is a small change in center distance, or you can write a variation in center distance. A variation in center distance does not affect velocity ratio. A small variation in center distance does not affect velocity ratio for involute tooth profile. For involute tooth profile. Now on the cycloid side, you write down the center distance must be fixed all the time. The center distance must be fixed all the time in order to maintain the velocity ratio. In order to maintain the velocity ratio. Now the next point, on the involute side, involute teeth are relatively weaker. Involute teeth are relatively weaker due to small root radius. Due to small root radius. Now what is root radius? At this place, See, at this place there is no sharp corner like this, but here there is a small curvature here. So that curvature had got a radius, and this radius is very small here in the case of involute teeth, so they are relatively weaker. Now on the cycloid side, write down cycloidal teeth are very strong due to broad shape at the root of teeth. Due to broad shape at the root of teeth. You can see here the shape is very broad. You cannot say it is a radius because this is not a part of a circle. But then what we say is that the shape is such that it is very broad at the base, at the base of the tooth, and that makes it very, very strong. Next point you write down. The wear is more for involute teeth. On the involute side, write down wear is relatively more for involute teeth. And on the other side, cycloidal teeth have less wear. Wear is less. Cycloidal teeth have less wear. So as far as wearing property is concerned, then cycloidal teeth they will be wearing less, whereas involute teeth will be wearing more. That is the difference. So we have studied the two types of gear teeth by way of their comparison. What are the points involved? Normally, most of the times, the gears which we are using, they are of involute type. Most of the times, these gears are preferred compared to the cycloidal teeth. Okay. So that was something about the gear drives. So we have seen gear drives in brief. Now these gears is a very big subject. In gears, you can go to the depth to a large extent. Many aspects are involved. For our syllabus, we are learning to the extent of understanding some of the basic terms that are used for gears, okay, which we are done in this session. Okay. Now the next session we are going to conduct on gear trains, how the gears are used in combination for the purpose of transmission of power. That is called as gear trains, which is going to be our next topic.